Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the One and O Podcast. I'm Avery Hill.
I'm Lyle Allenstein.
I'm Will Horseman.
Penn State got back in the weight room today, at least for our eyes. So we're going to cover that today. Also, we'll talk about a couple other things. We'll start with the weight room. Will, I know you were there. I mean, what were your impressions of just everything going on in the weight room that day?
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of strong people in that weight room. It's a lot of people repping my PRs and a lot of stuff. So I mean, Andrew Nelson says like it's one of the best summers they've had, and it was pretty clearly apparent. I mean, there's a lot of people like looking like hitting like PRs. I mean, Dominic Rulli had a 315 power cleaned, and that the whole offensive line group got hyped for him. I mean, we also got our first look at Daniel Jennings, and I mean, he like looks apart. It's like I mean, he just got recently got here, but he really looks like any other person on the team. And but I mean, yeah, it's they've prioritized physical development this summer, and it's pretty clear during the weight room session.
Yeah, I think biggest thing I take away from all these availabilities, obviously I wasn't there, but listening back to the recording of Chuck Losey is, I don't want to call him the spokesperson of the program because he's just not that, but everything he says is usually pretty accurate in terms of how the program is progressing with specific individuals, adjusting to like how they wanted to fix coming off like the longer season, things of that nature. But he made comments about Drew Aller that, he spoke very highly of. I think when you listen to all the different times he's talked about Drew over the course of his 4 years at Penn State, it's different things he used to nitpick with his physical development, but he was an early enrollee when he enrolled his freshman year, and you see the physical development. He's now down, I think, like 230, something like that. So impressed with that. He talked about new transfers, Trevor Pena and Amari Campbell. I think it was interesting how he highlighted there's a lot of room to grow with Amari Campbell physically, despite having played a lot of football at UNC. He's still a young linebacker who's got a lot of room to grow with his program, and obviously, this strength staff is one of the best in the country. And you see Chuck Losey and everybody else turning kids into monsters all the time. And Trevor Pena, I thought it was interesting because he knew he talked about his game speed, but there's a couple of things that's just strictly based off film. Like they're still 2 weeks away from starting fall camp. So, but there's a few things that I think that we want to work on with him dynamically. But Chuck Losey, he always offers some good insight, and he did so again this time.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Chuck Losey, and I mean, for me, what everything he kind of said really showed me is that Penn State is in sync right now, which is obviously what you want, which is what you need. It's not just, being on the field and the guys there having the chemistry. When your coaches are all on the court, your performance staff is all on the court, and everyone knows exactly where, the team needs to go and they're getting there. I mean, that's obviously a positive sign. I mean, I know Andrew Nelson said that this is like the best summer that they've had in terms of workouts. So obviously that's part of it. I mean, being able to come together, guys, hitting their PR. Just talk about Don Worley, who obviously was more of a special teams guy last year, and he won't start this year most likely, but maybe things can change. You kind of look at some of the other guys in the locker room and everything like that, getting their chance to kind of build up, build strength. I mean, seeing guys that are coming off an injury like Alonzo Ford, he's in there. I think what did I see? Incline bench about 275, maybe. Was it more? I don't know. I know I do 215 for 225. I'm sorry for reps, if anyone's wondering, but I
It
think he's
was.
doing a
It
little
was.
more. I mean, Zane Durant. I mean, I don't know. You didn't expect anything less out of him. Um, Banded bench press with 225. Like I think that was really just easy for him. Like which is ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I think Penn State is at the right point. I mean, not this isn't just a Penn State thing, but for anyone, the summer is the time to really, build that strength. Get as big as possible because once you get in the season and you're, banging play after play, I mean, that's what you're going to need. You're going to need that them extra weight room reps, and you saw it last year. I mean, you see it when Katron Allen runs and someone ends up, in the back of the stands, like Nick Singleton's, he's been able to bring a pop because of his work in the weight room. So I think Penn State has attacked the weight room in the right way, and I think that'll really be a good thing for them. But I think kind of going off of that, one of the first things us as media kind of got to see was Daniel Jennings at Penn State. I mean, he just arrived, I think, Sunday, so or at least was placed on the roster on Sunday. So I mean, Will, I mean, what did you see out of him? I know when he recruited or when he came to Penn State, he wanted to come, and it was a big thing about, okay, like I'm here physically, I'm ready to go. So he reclassified. He enters Penn State. I mean, how did he look? Did he look the part? Just, what kind of can you give us about that?
I mean, yeah, I saw him do a couple of rows with the barbell, and it's like I think he did like 2 plates rows, and it's like he, I mean, like size wise, he looks apart. Like he doesn't necessarily look like a true freshman defensive end who's supposed to be going into his high school year this season. So he he definitely looks apart, and I I mean it's definitely like I really see like a maybe like a Max Granville 2.0 that maybe he could crack the rotation down the line if like some injuries up on the depth chart kind of happen.
Yeah, I think I'm curious to see because when his announcement was that he planned to enroll, I think he told On3 that he put on like 50 pounds or 45, something like that, which is why I felt he was physically ready when he made that announcement that he was going to reclass. But I'm curious to see what the plan is with him if he can follow that Max Granville blueprint. Because you look at, we've talked about this, I feel like a lot and wrote about it, but that defensive end room, with Granville being hurt, outside of Zariah Fisher and Denai Dennis Sutton, you have really no idea what's going to come next on that depth chart. So it might not necessarily be right away for Daniel Jennings, considering that, just got to campus. But, he's here, I think, roughly a month earlier than when Max Granville got to campus. Because I remember when we were at local media day last year, I think that was the first look at Granville at practice. But it's just interesting. I know Chuck Losey highlighted a couple of the freshmen. I think Yvonne Kamaju, who was an early enrollee, is a name I think a lot of people are expecting to kind of maybe, get that green light. And then he talked about Chaz Coleman, Cortez Harris. But really, you have no idea what's going to come next with this defensive end room. You can see Jalen Harvey, Malachi Williams. Like, literally, there are a lot of names in the mix outside of Denai Dennis and Zariah Fisher. And, Jennings, I think he's a month ahead of schedule in Granville in theory. I don't know. I believe Granville was rated, I guess, like upon reclassification rankings, probably a little higher. And he's playing in Texas compared to West Virginia, where there's, pretty clear cut, better competition. Although Daniel Jennings was the number one player in West Virginia in the 247 Sports Composite rankings, played a little running back himself too. So obviously, month out from fall camp, you've got three non-con games that should be blowouts in Penn State's favor. But this defensive end room is going to, in theory, don't come back to this if they lose, but it wasn't me.
I
But
mean, in Lexi's trap games, which you can find on psucollegian.com, by the way, she did not mention any of the three schools. I won't spoil who she said are the trap games, but I mean, again, you can check that out. psucollegian.com. If you type the tab that says football, you might have to scroll just a little bit, and you will see it, and it'll be tagged under Lexi Lenderman's potential trap games. Just saying. Continue, Lau.
not a whole lot more to say. Just this defensive end room, I feel like is going to see a lot of people play on that D line come beginning of the season. I don't know if we're really going to have an actual answer outside of Zariah Fisher and Denai Dennis Sutton, but there's a reason why Jennings reclassed. Like, they're not just going to take a kid if they don't feel like he's prepared to do it. It'll be interesting to see how he develops, and obviously, with the Max Granville injury and the blueprint looming in the background, see where he stacks up with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of going off of that, I think it's very interesting considering Max Randall's injury because I think beforehand you could kind of pencil it in, okay, like you can go with Denai Dennis Sutton, you go Anaya White or Max Granville on one side, other side, and obviously they can rotate whenever they need to. You got Zariah Fisher, and then you can do that. If you need another one, you could go Jalen Harvey. From what we're hearing about Ivan Kamaju, it could have been him as kind of that third guy on one side. So I think it's very interesting the way that the Max Granville thing changes the defensive end room because had he been there, I don't really think there's a chance that Daniel Jennings plays. I think because his situation is a little different from Granville's in the sense that like he wanted to, like he asked to come early. It wasn't like Granville was just like ready, like Penn State wanted him, to come early. Like it was a different situation in parts. So I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see if he's able to get up to speed and be able to do so. But I think as Lyle said, we won't really know exactly where Penn State's defensive end room is looking until really the Oregon game. I mean, I think those first three games are a great opportunity to just try things out, see what works, see who works together, see who's, able to get the stunts down. Cause like playing in Jim Knowles' defense is not, going to be an easy task. Like obviously they have the whole summer to get through it, which again also kind of puts Daniel James at a disadvantage. Like the whole team is obviously learning Jim Knowles' scheme, but the other guys have been able to learn. So since February, March, he's just hopping in. Obviously, they probably gave him a lot to study before he came to campus and everything. But again, there's nothing like having actual reps. So I think it'll be definitely interesting to see just how Penn State's able to manage that and what Penn State's defensive end depth looks like. But kind of transitioning off of that, Pro Football Focus, Max Chadwick to be specific, dropped his top 10 offenses in college football. We kind of wanted to react to that. Penn State's at number 2, Clemson's at number 1. I'll list a couple under others down. Texas at 3, Alabama at 4, Notre Dame's at 7. I'll round out with some Big Ten teams. So we have Ohio State at 9 and Oregon at 10. I mean, guys, I'll just leave it to y'all. What are your reactions? Is Penn State ranked correctly?
I mean, yeah, I think Penn State's ranked correctly at number two. I mean, looking at their offense, it's like I don't know what's not to like. I mean, you have Drew Aller coming back for his senior year. I mean, then obviously also Katron Allen, Nick Singleton at running back. Offensive line is looking like a strength for Penn State, and with like their starting five and like the depth that they have at that position. And then I mean tight end, I mean they don't have a proven starter, but it's like with Khalil Dinkins and Luke Reynolds, it's in pretty good hands. And then wide receiver, I mean, obviously wide receiver's been a bit of a struggle for the past 2 seasons, but I mean this upcoming year they've done work in the transfer portal to try to make that not a problem anymore. Obviously, with Trevor Pena and Devontae Ross and Kyron Hudson. I mean, I surely like something comes out of that wide receiver room that's better than what we've seen in the past 2 seasons. So, I mean, I think Penn State being towards the top. I mean, yeah, that's completely correct.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you look at this. I think obviously with all the pieces that Will mentioned, Penn State, arguably on paper, has a proper rating, if give or take whatever. You could subtract a few spots, you could put on one. But I think it's interesting when you look at this list is the quarterback situation for a lot of these teams. Cade Klubnik and Drew Aller, I feel like are in the same caliber of quarterback in terms of their potential and then the criticism they get kind of nationally for their performance, obviously, but they're in the same kind of situation. They're going on year 3 as starters. I don't want to say they haven't met expectations. You could go back and forth on that, but people find ways to criticize both of them, whether it be specific game performances and things of that nature. But then you look at all these other quarterbacks, it's like Arch Manning, like Alabama. I know Avery, you could touch on that quarterback situation. I don't want to steal your flow there. But then you DJ Lagway, one of the biggest up and coming names in college football. Garrett Nussmeier, you could arguably throw him in that Drew and Cade Klubnik tier. Notre Dame's got a quarterback battle. Ohio State's got a quarterback battle. Oregon, Dante Moore was really good that freshman year at UCLA, but he sat behind, oh my God, Dylan Gabriel. Like, opted to, get to get a better opportunity at a better team. Like, there's a lot of unprovens in these quarterbacks among these lists. And then, but for some of them, you could rely on sheer talent. Like, I'm probably throwing Ohio State's offense up more just because of that wide receiver room, like regardless of who plays quarterback. I think I want to say this is a pretty fair list, but I feel like the fluidity with the quarterback situation for all these teams, like if you want to move a few teams up, a few teams down, like just strictly based on how you feel, the opinions of a quarterback, I feel like that's how I wouldn't argue with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of going over that, I agree as well. I think you can say Penn State's at the number 2 spot right now. I don't know if I'm gonna put Alabama over Penn State right now just because of the quarterback situation. I don't think Alabama's quarterback situation is terrible, but as of right now, I think it's Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson's who's going to be the guy. I know Caitlin DeBoer said at SEC Media Day that He would be the starter if they started right now. Obviously, he has the most experience out of him and Austin Mack and Keelan Russell. Obviously, Keelan Russell's the highest, recruit coming in, and he should probably be the guy, moving forward. But as of right now, that situation isn't completely figured out. So I think Penn State's good being over them. I think when you look at the offense, again, it'll really come down to how good the Penn State's receiver transfers translate to Penn State. Because I mean, we've seen it time and time again where Penn State, granted, they weren't getting Trevor Pena or honestly Devontae Ross because of what he was doing at Troy, which of course is a lower level school, but still I mean, he did it against Iowa. Like he's proven his worth. I think his athleticism, his ability to be really used kind of as a gadget guy, however you want to use him. He could be your Tyler Warren, just like 6 inches shorter and like 70 pounds lighter version of Tyler Warren if you want. Like there's a lot of possibilities with the receiver room. So I mean, I think that everywhere else you can kind of be confident in. You're confident in the running back room. You're confident in the offensive line. You're confident in the tight ends. Like, I mean, Khalil Dinkins, one, has tons of veteran experience. He's been honestly, in my opinion, he's even last season, I believed he was the best blocker out of Penn State tight ends. I think his ability to really get after it. I mean, just maul guys. Like I've seen him just like just like blindside. Like that play in the blindside with Michael Orr. Like essentially that's Khalil Dinkins every time he lines up. So I mean, I think that Penn State tight ends are in a good shape. Luke Reynolds, which I expect a big year from him. So yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to the receivers. I mean, Drew Allar, I think when you look at the entire country or the national media, they're really starting to really jump on his ship. Like everyone's kind of saying like he's a Heisman candidate. I mean, I know if you talk about, get up, which Thursday for we're recording this on Friday. So Thursday, I know Heather Dennis talked about it. Dan Orlovsky talked about it. Like, there's a lot of praise for this Penn State team, and it rolls around Drew Allar. I think part of it also has to do with the fact that Jim Knowles scouted Drew Allar for years, and he kind of knows, okay, this is where you're lacking. This is how we attack you, and that's something that he can lean on. But I mean, I think overall, I think Max got it right. I think Penn State should be number two. I don't really have any issue with like the rest of the list. I think Ohio State could be a little higher for sure. I think Oregon is right where it is with losing Ted Johnson, losing Dylan Gabriel. I think their current quarterback situation isn't like I think Dante Moore's not like he's not Dylan Gabriel, I don't think. And I don't think Dylan Gabriel's like the greatest, but I do think it'll be an adjustment period. I think Oregon will still be a top team in the country, but I think that'll be something different. But again, Ohio State will be the interesting one to see. I think they shoot up the rankings if let's say Julian Saying. I'm not 100% sure who's going to be starting, but I think Julian Saying is probably the leading guy. I think he'll come on strong, and I think that'll change. But yeah, I mean, I think Penn State is good on that. I kind of want to shift into our final topic. This week I wrote, which again you can check out on psucollegian.com. Hit that little football tab. You will see one that says something about portal exits. Click that one, read it in its entirety. But I released kind of like a top 5 guys who can make an impact that left Penn State in the transfer portal. I can kind of give you some of the lists here. I had Bo Prabula, who at media day, his head coach Eli said that he was attacking everything right. Like he was, he got in there, like he was working, like he's taking that next step. Obviously, not direct quotes and everything, but he had encouraging things to say about Bo Prabula. I know previously he said it would be like a quarterback competition, but I don't think that's happening. I think you don't get that guy out of the portal. Like he has 2 years eligibility apparently, but you don't get him out of the portal and just like, all right, we're gonna sit you on the bench. Like obviously I have Matt Zollers, but I don't think that happens. And then some other guys, one that I put on there is Jerry Cross going to Memphis. I think he's in a really good situation. If you look at Memphis in their history, especially in the past 5 or so years, I mean, they've been able to produce tight ends that were all AAC selections. Let me be correct. All AAC selections, and just guys all around the board. So I think he's in a really good situation. I think coming out of the Penn State tight end room, he is going to be a guy that adjusts really well to a non-power four program. So guys, what are you guys' thoughts? Are there anybody that you think will have a really big year next year or anything like that?
I think I want to start with Harrison Wallace. I still think Harrison Wallace is really good wide receiver. Ole Miss, different system, and that also, talking about quarterback competitions, Jackson Dart's gone. They don't have a clear cut answer right now either. But I still think he's a really talented wide receiver. I want to say he was the wide receiver one for Penn State last year. But I still think he's good. I think it's a different opportunity.
Statistically was.
Yeah, he was. It's hard to actually evaluate a wide receiver one based on how the production of the room. But I still think he's really good. Ole Miss has produced. They're revamping their wide receiver core too. A lot of transfers themselves, so he's got an opportunity really to go out there and compete. I remember Lane Kiffin was doing some social media antics when the crystal balls and RPMs were coming in for Harrison Wallace, and he was, saying expert logs prediction for Ole Miss to land Harrison Wallace. So he's got to be excited for that. I don't know. I feel like Harrison Wallace, I don't want to say he was underappreciated at Penn State because of the production of the room, but when he dealt with injuries that Peach Bowl season, he showed flashes of what he's capable. I remember that West Virginia game, he had 100-something yards, a couple of touchdowns. Everyone loved him. And then, the production of the room tapers off, and all of a sudden, Harrison Wallace can't produce. But I think he's going to do really well. Another guy I want to talk about who's not on your list, I think, is John Mitchell, freshman.
Almost made it. Almost made it. I will say. I thought about John Mitchell. I don't know. I just didn't. I didn't think that the Jerry Cross. I couldn't put him over Jerry Cross.
I like the Jerry Cross take.
Yeah,
Jerry
Brad
Cross.
Salem. He's a guy. Just check out Brad Salem. I'm just saying. He's a guy. He's a coach.
I think John Mitchell was a top 100 recruit going to Penn State. I think he just, from what I understand, just wanted to go back home, stay down south. Really talented player, and was going to get buried on this depth chart of really good cornerbacks. I think he's going to play right away for Georgia Tech. They kind of revamped that secondary this offseason. Offseason is in the portal, but I think he's a really good player. I would not be surprised. You've seen Jordan Vanderberg, defensive tackle, who I believe has the best, the squat record at Penn State in front of Saquon, has produced really well. I think he was second team All ACC this past season for the Yellow Jackets. So you've seen, a little Penn State, I don't want to say Penn State Georgia Tech pipeline, because it's all a matter of just not working out in State College. But I think he's going to be a pretty good player down the road.
Yeah, I mean, you guys kind of mentioned, I mean, the Jerry Cross take. I mean, I completely agree with that, because I mean, obviously he was with Ty Howell and Tyler Warren, Theo Johnson, Brenton Strange. So all those guys are those are four really good guys to learn from and learn the position. So it's even though it's he wasn't really able to really play that much with Penn State, it's he's now headed to Memphis. It's I think he has a pretty strong chance to start, and it's I think I mean, he was former four-star recruit, so he has at least the raw talent. I mean, and then being able to learn from those guys for the past couple of years. I mean, I think he's set up well to really have a chance to have a decent year this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of want to go back to the Harrison Wallace thing, because again, I think even me myself for years, I think I've seen Harrison Wallace kind of fly under the radar. I thought he was easily one of Penn State's most talented tight ends, wide receivers, and I would say the past 2-3 years. I wouldn't say the most talented. I mean, I think you have to throw, Keandre Lambert-Smith in that conversation, and a couple other guys maybe, but I think he was up there.
Dante Cephas.
Yeah, talent wise. Let's throw him in there talent wise. But in terms of, I think Harrison Wallace's biggest thing is that he is a number two guy, which is okay. I think there's a lot of guys that I have always said are number two guys, and they are really good receivers. A number two guy doesn't stop you from being, a top 10 receiver in the country. I don't think he's a top 10 receiver, but I think that if you look at let's look at the NFL. I think I've always seen CeeDee Lamb he's a number two guy.
Whoa!
He's a number two guy. That
is a ridiculous take.
He might be their number one receiver, but he's a number two type receiver.
That is a ridiculous take.
It's not ridiculous. It's true. I mean, you're going to see it. I think that it's different from Diggs. Diggs is a number one receiver, and you'll see that when he's with the New England Patriots. It's a big difference. But we're getting way off track. I want to get back to Harrison Wallace. I think that he's going to fit in really well at Ole Miss, just given that they are, they're known for, we're going to spread the ball out. We're going to have 4 or 5 receivers, all have at least 3, 4, 500 yards. Um, I know Harrison Wallace totaled 720 yards last year. I fully expect him to get over 800, maybe 850. I mean, you talk about Ole Miss's departures, Trey Harris, obviously with the Chargers, who finally signed his contract. I don't understand what's up with all that, but he finally signed his contract with the Chargers, second round pick. He's gone. Ole Miss's number 2 guy is gone. So I know the only guy that they have returning will be in the slot. So that'll be in Caden Lee, but I think he'll be in a really good position. He doesn't have to be the number 1. He doesn't even have to be the number 2. I could really see him as a number 3 guy, making plays because again, you probably have Caden Lee, Dejon Stribling from Oklahoma State, and then Caleb Odom. He'll probably fight for a spot in there. I mean, he was a top tight end going to Alabama before he transferred. So I think he'll have a fight in there. I don't think he's better than Harrison Wallace. So we'll see. But either way, I think Harrison Wallace is in a really good situation. Going to Ole Miss, I call it a wide receiver factory. I talked about it. AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Laquan Treadwell. Like the list is deep. Like I've always liked to watch Ole Miss games to look at the receivers because you're going to get a talented receiver and you'll get like 5 on one team, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Another one I kind of wanted to hit on is Amari Evans. I think the Washington fit is interesting because I think when you look at the visits he had and obviously the reported guys that or the reported teams that were interested. I mean, Tennessee and Texas Tech and Syracuse. I wouldn't have expected him to go to Washington, but I really do think it works out. I think playing alongside Denzel Boston, he'll kind of have that opportunity to stretch the field to make a couple plays. I don't think he's a guy that's going to go 1,200 yards, 1,000 yards, whatever. But I think I could definitely expect a career year out of Amari Evans. I do think he does. He could hit 1,000 if he played, at Tennessee in their veer and shoot scheme, which I know a lot about with my time on College Football 26, just chucking the ball down the field all day, 5 wideouts, however you want to do it. Syracuse, obviously, as you saw with Trevor Pena, I think he might not have been the leading receiver last season, and he had a crazy year, which is, a testament to just not just Kyle McCord's improvements and Fran Brown, but just their offensive scheme, being able to spread that ball out. So I mean, I think Amari Evans is still in a really good position. I think it'll be very interesting to see, and I think Penn State fans will be like we missed on that guy, but I don't think it's that. I really think it's more about a scheme fit. Him, being such an athlete, I think it's all about him being able to get down the field and make plays, which is just not something that's in Penn State scheme, and I think that's okay. Well, that's all we have for today. Thanks for tuning in. For more coverage, visit us at psucollegian.com or follow us on socials at the Daily Collegian. We'll see you next time.